Welcome back to the Enlightened Misfits podcast. I am your host, Lauren Perlingi, and today I have a special guest with me. We're going to talk probably all things human design podcast. I cannot wait to hear about her story, near-death experiences. Make sure before I introduce her, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast and go underneath the show notes and make sure that you are you go follow her, you go follow me, and you make sure you leave a review because this really helps us bring more amazing guests on, like the guests that we have today. And her name is Aeoliana. Thank you
Yes.
so much for being here. And tell us a little bit about who you are and who
Yeah.
you help. So a little bit about your.
Of course. Of course. So, like you said, my name is Aeoliana, and I am originally from Puerto Rico, but I have lived in Florida, Tampa, Florida, for probably 40 years or something like that. So, I might as well call myself a Floridian. I am a wife, been married for 20 years. We have a 13-year-old son who plays hockey. And I was a paralegal for about 20 some odd years. Now I work in dispatch, and I'm also a podcast launch strategist. And what I do is I help people launch their podcasts without the overwhelm. So I like to focus on balance over burnout, authenticity over um, perfection, and just ease, enjoying your podcast, enjoying the process, and just getting your voice out there and your message heard. And that's in a nutshell.
I love that. We're on a podcast, so of course I love that. I'm like, I love that. So we're going to kind of start from the beginning. So
Sure.
through your awakening, through your near-death
Okay.
experience, can you kind of
Yeah.
walk us through the beginning of that a little bit
Sure.
and the moment that everything changed for you?
Sure. Yeah. So that was around 2017. I was working as a probation officer at the time, and I started to get sick. I had like really high fevers. I would go to the ER, and they're like, "You're fine, everything's fine." They ended up diagnosing me with walking pneumonia, but they were like, "Just take this inhaler, you'll be fine." And then around Valentine's Day, I remember my husband came home with chocolate covered strawberries, which I love. And I was just like, I can't eat. And I kept telling him I felt toxic. Like my body felt toxic. I didn't know why. And so my mom drove me, my parents live right down the street from me. And my mom drove me to get some blood work done. And then I was like, Mom, let's get something to eat. And then she's like, Well, I think I'm going to take you into the ER and get you checked out. So I called my husband and I said, Hey, our son was, th- he was born in 2012. So he was 5 at the time. And I said, Go pick him up from school. Mom's taking me to the ER. I'm fine. Just, take care of him. And then when you're done, you can come, after dinner. And so that's the last thing I remember from what I was told. When he got to the hospital, I had gone into full cardiac respiratory arrest. They were intubating me, and for 2 weeks, I have no recollection between February 14th and when I woke up, it was February 26th. And I remember that because it was my brother's birthday. And I have no recollection of what happened between that time. Zero. Like even now, it's 2025. I have zero recollection of what happened between February 14th and February 26th. Um, what they told my husband was that my body had started the process of sepsis. I had gone, like I said, into respiratory arrest. The pneumonia had led to the sepsis. And when I woke up, I couldn't talk, I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything. So I was in the hospital for I was intubated for 8 days. I was in the hospital for another 3 or 4 days, and then physical therapy for 2 months. learning how to walk, how to talk, how to write, how to do all those things again. Um, After that time, I remember sitting down with my dad and he was like, "Oh, well, don't worry about it. It's fine. You're okay." But I'm like, "No, I need to know what happened during that time. Like, I need to know what that was for. Like, there has to be a reason for that." And I remember I went back to the hospital and I visited with a nurse. Her name was Geneva. And she told me, she said, she explained to me why I didn't remember. She's like, "We gave you these medications, the trauma your body was going through. You're not supposed to remember." And then finally, I had an explanation. Like, somebody actually took the time to tell me, "You're not supposed to remember. That's the whole point of it." So then it was like, okay. And then after that, I was like, shit, I've been sitting here like doing things for everybody, doing the whole people pleasing, like making sure everybody, and I really haven't taken care of myself. I really don't know who I am, what I want to do, what I'm doing here, other than doing what everybody else wants me to do. And so that's when I started, like, I jumped into human design. I jumped into learning about more about myself, more about my needs, what I want, how to stop doing what everybody else wants me to do, and all of those things. And just from that experience came a whole new understanding of my purpose isn't for everybody else. Like, my passions aren't everybody's passions. I'm not here to make everybody feel good. Like, if it doesn't align with me and it doesn't help me and it doesn't make me feel good, I don't need to be doing it. Regardless of what people around me think. So that's basically where it all came from.
I was going to thank you for sharing that and tell the listeners what your human design is.
So I am a 5-2 splenic projector.
Yay, we have another projector.
Yay! Projectors in the house.
Yes, we have a lot of projectors that listen to the podcast because, of course, well, I know we talked before recording, but I'm a 6-2 emotional projector. So I'm like, I know now. I'm like, yay, this is why you were supposed to be on my
Right?
podcast.
It's all in good time. It's all when the invite is open and necessary for people
Yes.
to listen. That's when it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, so I do want to say how thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that near death experience, because I know that you probably still have some questions of like, but I still want to know. That's me. I'm like, here's me listening to you. I'm like, oh, but I really want to know why. There's a deep, here's me. There's a deeper reason why.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
it's
get it.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy because when I woke up, the doctor told my husband that if I hadn't gone to the hospital, if my mom hadn't taken me to the ER, which I didn't ask her to,
Yeah.
I would have died in my sleep that night.
Wow.
Like, that's how close it was. And it was, and like, I don't know. I'm hoping people don't need that kind of an experience to kind of wake up and realize that there's more than what they're giving themselves. But for me, that's what it took.
Yeah. I was going to say, I definitely, for me too, and I've talked a little bit about my near death experience, but it took me 3 times to go through that, to realize,
Wow.
oh, I need to wake up. I need to like wake the
Yeah.
fuck up. Like, this is
Yeah.
not about me anymore. This is about my child. This is about my bigger purpose here.
Hmm.
So, to be honest, if I'm completely being raw and real and honest, I think it does, for some of us, I think it does take that. For me, it's always a 3. I'm like, I'm sick of doing shit in 3s. Like, I don't need to do it
Yeah.
in 3s anymore. But it took me like 3 times. It's always 3 times, 3 months, three cycles. Like, it's always that until I broke that cycle. And it's like, I
Yeah.
don't repeat that cycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And I want to hear about your experience and how you see the world differently after your near death experience.
Oh my gosh. It's so much different. And it's not just the near death experience, but being a parent
Mhm.
and going through all of those changes. And he didn't see me when I was in the hospital. Like I said, he was 5. So Like my brother and my parents would get him to school, make sure he, did all his stuff. My brother taught him how to write, because that's what they were doing in school. And my husband was with me in the hospital during the week. And then on the weekends, my my parents would come and my husband would take him to hockey because he was playing hockey. So, for me, it's just realizing the support, asking for help,
Yeah.
asking, I've always been the kind of person, like, I was very proud of being a type A and always doing everything. And when you're in that kind of a situation where you have to learn how to do everything for yourself again, you learn the vulnerability that comes with asking for help, and you learn the people around you that are willing to help you, and you're more willing to say, okay, these people no longer need to be in my life, but these people do. Like, these relationships are worth holding on to, and these aren't, because these people were the ones who were there, day in, day out, taking care of me, taking care of my family. And these people here didn't even bother to check. Like, I remember my neighbor was upset that my husband hadn't told her that I was in the hospital. And like, she punched him. She was like, "Why did you not tell us? Like, we're here. We could have come. I had people at work. Like I said, I was working for the sheriff's office. I was a probation officer, and everybody rallied. And the whole time I was gone, I lost no time. They all donated their time because of, what I was going through. So, my view of relationships, my view of how I enter into relationships, how I foster relationships, um, really changed. It turned into, if you're not giving the same effort that I'm giving into the relationship, then that's the end of it. We're not going to continue with me chasing
Right.
you, with me trying to get together with you. If you're not giving the same effort, that's it. We're done. I'm not We're not chasing anymore. Um it opened up to a lot of different types of relationships that I didn't really think um I would have had, if that makes sense. Um, I was holding on to a lot of old relationships thinking that the loyalty had to be there because I've known them for a long time, when it was the people who I had just met who showed up in droves more so than the people who had had relationships with for years, families included. Um, and just my voice and my speaking and my passion for letting people know that regardless of your story, everyone has one, and everyone's waiting to hear what we have to say. Like, just that speaking part, that wanting to help people with that, is another thing that changed. And just, I mean, I guess just relationships in general, like my relationship with my son, my relationship with my husband, like, my husband didn't start actually processing the trauma until probably 3 years after it happened.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
it manifested in like anxiety, panic attacks, and I've lived through panic attacks. I've had them my whole life. So I'm like, this is what it is. This is, let's work through it.
Yeah.
But it didn't manifest until 3 years later. The trauma didn't process for him until 3 years later. And by then I was fine. I was healthy. I was, and so, I mean, it's just, I guess the relationships is the biggest thing that I'd have to say, is just with myself, with my family, with friends, um, with the world in general, of just like I have, like, I saw this meme or this video or reel or whatever on Instagram, and it's this dude with a ukulele, and his song is like, I've got no more fucks to give. I've got no more fucks to give. And it's like, great. If I find it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Um,
Please.
but like, that's how I felt. I'm like, I'm tired of doing everything for everyone. I'm tired of trying to be who everyone wants me to be. And I don't I've been doing that for so long. I don't know who I am. I don't know. I have no idea because I've been the I've been wearing the mask that everybody expects me to wear depending on who the person is. And I'm like I can't do that anymore. I can't. And so I'm slowly learning who I am, and it's been a process.
Yeah, of course.
And you know, that's
Proud of you. I
yeah.
think all of us can resonate to that at a certain level. Like, I mean, sure, I think I know who I am, but then as soon as I think I know who I am, here it goes, there, bam, another lesson. It's like,
Yep.
really? Do you really want to keep telling yourself you know that? Like, I mean, I think to my core, sure. But it's like, when you can feel it and like
Mhm.
hearing you talk, I had body chills because it's like so powerful from that experience that you can now see the world differently from
Yeah.
realizing what truly matters. And it's like this
Mhm.
surface level bullshit that we all focus on sometimes, that is like, does this really matter? Like,
Yep.
and you if you can compare it to your I mean, I'm sure you can compare it to a lot of things, but if you look back at that, I've almost died, or like, and I couldn't control it, or maybe I actually could control it, and the universe is like, wake up, like, hello, you need to do things
Mhm.
different, because you're just literally, we're all literally this going through the same finish line, like all leaving.
Yep.
We're eventually all going to leave here. So it's
Yep.
like, do you want to keep coming back here and learning lessons and keep doing this over again, again, and again? That's kind of like how what I told myself. And I'm like, I'm just so sick and tired of this. Like, I had to, you have to just be so sick and tired of yourself
Yeah.
and like what's happening to, you're like, I'm not doing that shit no more.
Yeah.
And until you get to that place, like most of us or some of us or people listening that maybe never even, shared their story, I feel like there's more people out there that have the same experience, and they don't
Mhm.
even realize it is a near death experience, or they don't even, maybe it was self inflicted. That doesn't matter. It's still near death experience. It's still experience
Yep.
you needed to experience. I used to think that because mine were self inflicted, all three of them, that mine was different than everybody else's. I'm the one that did this to myself. And then one of my mentors said, it's not any different,
Mm-mm.
because you just thought you had control of it. And I obviously needed to understand what control was.
Mhm.
And I didn't have that control, but always thinking I did.
Right.
Clearly I had three examples of like, no, I don't have control of that. So,
Yep.
and then I realized what truly matters. And even I remember, not that I relive that day in and day, but I
Yeah.
remember, does this matter? No, it doesn't. So like, it's easier for me to move on, forgive myself, stop holding that shame, guilt, all that stuff, you know, to eventually, I mean, my daughter's watching. I mean, like, she was my reason for a very long time, which I'm sure that, having a son yourself too, he's
Yep.
watching you. And that's how important. I think I seen a quote. I don't know who quoted this, but it was like, my decisions right now are so important because I have a daughter watching, or like a kid watching. And
Yeah,
that's just
someone's watching you.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, like somebody's watching you. Like, sure, there's tons of people online probably watching me, but like, they don't matter to me. I don't know who they are. I mean, yeah, sure, everybody matters to me, but it's like, to my core, I don't really care who it is besides who I care about. Like
Yeah.
that
It's
foundational.
different. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
it's a totally different feeling when you have emotion attached to it, when you have something to ground you in that emotion, it's completely different. Like when it's out and people are listening. Like I remember I was on a podcast, I was talking to this guy, and I wish I remembered his name, but I don't. And his podcast is centered on his like his suicide attempts. Like that's what he talks about.
Yeah,
And he always said that he felt like he was like some there was a purpose to why he was still here.
yeah,
And I will never forget that because it's one of those things where you don't know how when your message is going to reach the right person right when they need it. Like you talked about divine timing earlier. And like you could share your story about your three attempts and how none of them worked and how, whatever the reason was, whatever your story was, and someone could be in the same situation that you were and hears you say, I got through it and I'm a better person for it now and I've healed. And I think the awareness is the first step in healing. Like if we're not aware of how we feel or the reason behind what we're doing it or what's going on, if we're not aware, we can't change it. And yeah, for you, it's like in patterns of three. For me, it took being intubated and physical therapy and all that stuff for me to become aware. And we all have that point where awareness is what we need. We can't do anything until we're aware it's happening. And I think like that's one of my biggest pulls to get people to start their podcast is that so many people don't realize that their story could help someone else.
Right.
Like what they went through, as simple as it is to them, as mundane or normal or everybody goes through this, um, it can help someone. And I always go back to the like I watch a lot of true crime. Law and Order is my favorite show. Yeah,
Yes.
I love Law
Yeah.
and Order. And so you watch shows like that and you know like they have a lineup. And so sometimes they'll have a voice lineup where people will say the same line and, you know, they'll look at the witness or victim or whatever. And you'll have 10 people say the same thing, but only one voice is gonna affect the person listening. And it's not because they're saying it differently, it's because there's an emotional connection.
Right.
And without that emotional connection, it doesn't matter. So you can have the same story that Tom, Dick, and Harry have,
Right.
but the right person is going to resonate with what you're saying in your tone with your experience. And if
Right.
you never put your voice out there and you never put your story out there, that person that needs to hear it from you is never going to hear it.
Right. And I love you said that so perfectly. And it's literally why I started my podcast. I literally wanted to share my story. I had to be very careful in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
because I was still legally combined and like
Mm-hmm.
custody and like going through my divorce and like
Yeah.
all this stuff. So I had to be very like, you know, just very like I had to be quiet about it, just to be the
Mm-hmm.
stable person.
Yeah.
And it was just one day shift of like, why am I still silencing myself? That some people knew my story, but other people's didn't. So and it was more of like for me, I had to word it the right way so it's not
Mm-hmm.
coming from that victim place because
Right.
I would talk about it like I was reliving it. And I was like, I'm tired of reliving this. This is literally I'm reliving my trauma constantly. So help of, a couple of different mentors, I realized even now being interviewed on my mentor's podcast, the Brilliance Method. Make sure you check that out. Anybody listening, go check that out because my episode will be coming out, and she said something really powerful for me too. She said, "You matter." And especially
Mm-hmm.
because of your story, you matter. That's what matters. And I was like, and that's literally what I bring to my own podcast and I bring to everybody else because you matter, regardless of
Yep.
who tells you don't matter. And here's the thing: I was telling myself I didn't matter. That was like really, and I'm sure at some point you were, that self
Yep.
talk, that wounding for you was the same thing, like that you matter. Don't like, and the person that's probably hurting you is you. And then like
Yep.
to actually stare at myself and say that to myself, I was like, oh my God. Like I blamed everybody else around me. Like it was everybody else's fault, everything.
Yep.
And so I could look at myself because I was alone and I literally had to look at myself. And that's the part of me that I realized that made me do what I did. And realizing, do people realize this is the part of them? Because I mean, we have Western medicine, we have all this stuff, therapy, whatever works for everybody else. But there's a deeper reason to why things happen. And that's me. I'm like, sure, we need Western medicine and we also need holistic stuff because it works
Yeah.
simultaneously. And then Western medicine puts people in a box and it's like, you're schizophrenic, you have bipolar, you have this, you have that, you have this. And it's just like, nobody's getting to the root of why these people have these things, And that's like
Mm-hmm.
me. I'm like, I need to get to the root of things. And it's like always been like that. So like I'm always like, but it's more, it's deeper. My
There's
husband
more.
hates it. He's like, it's not that deep. And I'm like, but it is.
But it actually is. Yeah, it actually is. I totally agree with you. Like we were talking earlier, I like to delve into all the things. So
Yeah.
I was raised Catholic, I'm still Catholic. We
Yeah.
do prayer, we do, but I also do meditation. I also do affirmations. I do tapping. I've passed that on to my son. In our family, we're very aware of our emotions. We're very aware of how those emotions and your words and your actions affect other people.
Yeah.
And like we're very aware with all of these things, and I'm okay with that. I am a whole person. My
Right.
family, like my husband and my son, they're whole people.
Right.
And I've never understood why we have to fit in particular boxes when there's all of this stuff out there available. If this doesn't work, try this. If that doesn't work, try this. And it's that awareness. Like the more aware I become, the more I learn about myself, the more things I want to tap into to heal all of those parts of me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for saying that too, because I think that's honestly, I've always been very obsessed with, maybe obsessed is not the right word, but like astrology and the moon and the stars and why is this connected? And I was always that person then going through my own chart, going through gene keys, and I'm like, oh, it's in my chart. Duh.
Oh, I love the gene keys.
Yeah. Like it's always, that, this, and that. So, and then I realized that that explained my entire life. It was like that permission slip that,
Yeah.
people ask me why are you so obsessed with human design? And it's just like, I don't claim to be a certified reader. I don't claim I do all of this intuitively. And, I've self-taught myself human design for the last 7 years. And,
Mhm.
astrology, I'm not going to call myself an astrologer because, but I know the parts of astrology that like people, if I'm like, oh, if it's dealing with like business or content or whatever, I'm like, oh, just look at your midheaven. And people are like, what the fuck? How did you do that? I was like, I don't know. Just,
I don't know anything about that. I don't know. I know I'm a Sagittarius and that's all I know. I don't know
yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
But ask me human design, yeah, definitely.
We'll
I'm
have to
like,
do
but
it.
ask me human design, and I'm like, yes, this is what it is, and this is my incarnation, and this I would love. I mean, I am obsessed with it, and it's
Yeah.
so interesting to me, that part of it, the human design part of it, because it explained so much about myself,
Mhm.
and it explained so much about this is why I feel this way. Like this is why this didn't resonate. Like learning about my aura and learning about my, like I have an undefined throat. Learning what that means and why it's always been difficult for me to say what I want to say. Like because I wasn't saying what I needed to be saying. I was saying what other people expected me to say. And that's why it was difficult. That's why it didn't feel right because it didn't come from me. Like the more I speak from myself
Yeah.
and things that are aligned with who I am, it's so much easier to talk and it just flows and it comes so much easier than when I was trying to speak for other people or with the words that other people wanted me to say. So it's just, yeah, we could nerd out on human design like totally. We could
Yeah.
totally.
And I love that. I love that for us. Yeah. Yeah. So, kind of speaking about how you're passionate about human design,
Mhm.
how I would love to hear also too with how you, I also have a Catholic background. I feel like
Yeah.
we're just mirrors of each other.
We're kindred spirits.
Yeah, like we're definitely I'm just, it's just, we're just doing this. I'm like, of course she's Catholic. Now, I don't dive into that Catholic side of me. However, I have healed a huge wound around religion and
Mhm.
and it gave me a perspective of like, sure, you can believe what you want to believe. Just,
Mhm.
make sure you don't put that on me or like, that is gonna,
Right.
it's always like I would always ask myself, why does religion trigger me so bad? Like
Mhm.
so bad to the point that I'm like, looking at people sideways and like, am I judging? And I realized I was still judging myself and just
Yeah.
allowing people to just have their belief. And, I always say, most people now, it's like spirituality, and it's like you can have this belief and follow this, but you
Mhm.
also, it's like, and then also could do
Mhm.
this. So it's like
Yeah.
something that's just, I like that way. It was more of like I had to do I used to call myself a Catholic witch because I all the deities and the angels and like that was engraved into me. And it's like,
Mhm.
but I also do the witchy woo woo stuff too.
Mhm.
And I know that that's not acceptable. So it was just, but when I said that, people are like, oh, okay, I get what you mean. Like the people that get
Yeah,
it, they
yeah.
got it. The other
Yeah,
people
yeah,
that
yeah.
like, that's not on, that's on them. That's not on me, but
Right,
I
right.
love how you said that too. Like, I do all of the things. I do this. This is what I do. Because I believe in prayer too. It's part of my background. Like, I'm at the end of the day, I was raised Catholic. I took what I learned from that and I took what I learned from my childhood and then I
Mhm.
make it my own. And
Right.
that's just how it is. And I feel like, the way the world is going, I feel like that actually could kind of heal the world, like a
Yeah.
little bit of like just let people believe what they want to believe and like stop telling people they need to believe this and or believe that.
Right.
That's why it's like an open thing. But I'm gonna get off that topic that I always say, like, I don't
Yeah.
want to talk about politics or religion.
Yeah, I got you. I
Because
got you.
like, and it's fine, but it's like sometimes that can be just, and especially what's going on in the world right now,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like, but I have to say that if each of us focus on ourselves, it's how we're going to
Mhm.
heal the world. Each
Yeah.
one of us, one by one, we focusing on, you focusing on, everybody focusing on themselves. It's like, that's actually what actually is the solution to everything that is going on.
Yeah. And not just that, but like I think going back to, I love that you said that everyone matters. Like you matter, I matter. You know, I think so many people and in the world today, like there's so much division and there's so much focus on you're different than me because of this, this, and this, when at the root of it, like
Yeah.
we're all the same.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
we're all the same. We all go through the same issues, the same problems. They might manifest themselves differently,
Yeah.
but at the core, everybody goes through the same thing. And that's what I tell a lot of my clients is, you have to share your story because you sharing your story gives someone else permission to share theirs. And it gives someone else the opportunity to see, look, I'm not the only one who's gone through something like this. I'm not the only one that's going through, a violent, thing in my life. Or I'm not the only one that's going through, you know, troubles at work or, troubles at school or problems with my family.
Right.
Everybody has those problems. Everybody has those issues. And if we don't speak up, people are going to constantly think that we're different and we should be divided. And that's not the case. And the only way things are going to heal is when everybody realizes that we're not as different as we think we are, or as certain people want us to feel like we are,
Yeah.
because
Or
we're
that
not.
division.
We're not. Yeah, there's no division. Like everybody at the root, the
Yeah.
issues are the same.
Right.
The issues
100%.
are the same. They're just manifested in a different way, but they're the same.
Yeah. 100%. That's literally, I'm like, if people actually just thought about this for a second, it's like you
Yeah.
came from the same light that I came from. You just picked this and I picked this, and we're all
Right.
at the end of the day from the same creator. It does not matter who you think the creator is or who it could be or whatever. But if you just like open up your mind to that, it's like, you know, I've always, and it's because I always been asked why does this happen? Why does this happen? I always heard my entire life, it's like, it's just the way it is. And I'm like, that's a lie. That is such a
Yeah.
lie. So of
Yeah.
course, me being a conspiracy theorist, my brother even said this to me. He goes, a couple of years ago, he goes, so I guess I have to tell you all this stuff that you used to say when you were a kid. I guess you kind of knew a little bit about what was going on. Like, Well, I was a gifted kid when I was, I was told to keep quiet, and my mom see me as different, and I was different because it's just like I knew, be quiet, don't say that. Oh, I'm like, don't
Mhm.
you see that over there? And I thought everybody, and I still probably to this day have a little bit of a like a delusional thing about this, but I always think that people see what I see. And some people do and some people don't. And then I'm like, you don't see that? You don't, like it's like I always just assume that people know what I know because I'm like,
Yeah.
this is just kind of like normal things, right?
That's your projector.
Yes.
That's your projector talking. Like, we can see it. Doesn't anybody else see this? Like, am I the only one that's going to point this out? I really don't want to be the only one to point it out.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
else speak up, please. But no,
Yeah.
that's who
And
we are.
then I realized through human design, I was like, oh, but then it's like I talked to other projectors and then they're like, but I can see this. And it's like, it's so interesting when I talk to another projector and somebody tells me something, I'm like, you must be a projector. And I don't even know their chart. And they go, what are you talking about? I'm like, human design. So it's like, obviously they know what it is. So I'm like, let
Mhm.
me do your chart really quick. And I'm like, you are a projector because it's like, I know who they see me and I see them. And it's like, we
Mhm.
see each other. And it's like, you're not like the rest of the world, are you? Like, you don't look at things like the rest of the world. Cause I'm looking at
Yeah.
somebody that's maybe a manifester, manifesting generator or generator. And I'm like, why are you guys doing stuff so hard? Like,
Yeah, like, why are you working so hard? But it's funny because growing up, I thought that's how I had to be.
yeah, me
Like,
too.
I thought I had to perform and my value was in my output.
Yes.
And, like, I remember my husband telling me before I learned about human design, he's like, "You don't know how to rest." And it's like, you're right. My mom doesn't know how to rest. Like, she's constantly go, 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 go. And I
Yeah.
was the same way. And when I was reading my human design chart and they were like, rest is essential, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I need to
Yeah.
take naps. And so now I have to put rest in my day, whether that's sitting down and coloring or just like totally tuning out and watching a movie or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
I've learned in the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, I've learned that I have to rest. I have to unplug. I have to stop, even if it's for 5 minutes. Like on my phone, I have a 5 minute um, splenic projector, like checklist when I'm overwhelmed at work.
Yeah.
And so I have it daily and I don't always use it. But ChatGPT was great for that too. I got it off. I just had it create it and I was like, this is awesome. And
Yeah.
so it's like 4 steps to keep me grounded when I'm overwhelmed.
Oh, I love
And
that.
like super 5 minutes, super simple, super easy. And it's there on my phone every day. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't, but it's always there if I need it to reground and, you know, like this is too much. I need to take a step back. I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing here.
Right.
No guilt, no shame, no, oh my God, like, why am I having to do this? Which I would have done 10 years ago, 5, 10 years ago. I would have
Right.
felt guilty for needing that time to myself.
Right.
And now I'm like, no, this is essential. This is what I need. I can't function without this time of rest. And it's been such a huge shift in my thinking and in doing. And it's just like, that's been a game changer. It's just realizing that the rest is essential. I can't do without it.
Yeah, I think that's that's like calling me out. Okay, like
Yeah.
I literally that's actually it's one of my challenges. I feel like I
Mhm.
challenging, especially because an entrepreneur, you're running a business,
Yep.
you work, you run a business, and you're a mom and you're a wife, and work a 9 to 5 outside the home.
Mhm.
There's some of us that it's just, and I'm not saying just, that's not what I'm saying, but it's like you have financial support somewhere else so you can stay home and you can just be the mom and and not saying the nurture or whatever, like that's still hard too because being a projector, regardless of any energy type, let me just take that out, it's still hard to navigate of
Yeah.
like how do I schedule in rest? Now, my husband is a projector too. So when he's telling me he's taking a nap, I'm not shaming or guilting him because I get it. Now, if somebody's unaware of human design, they're going to be like, like my mom, she would shame me my entire life because, again, I'm diagnosed with ADHD, and it's like I'm lazy. So that's what I told myself all the time. If I'm not operating like
Mhm.
her, she's a manifesting generator. She still is a
Oh
manifesting generator.
God.
Like constantly go, 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 go,
Yeah.
do. My brother too. He's like, I'm like, how you guys are just too chaotic, on top of just everything else. Me and my
Yeah.
dad are the projectors. We can sit in the room and literally do nothing. And it's like, oh my God, we love this, now. But before, same thing with you. Like, I was always constantly performing, even up until probably like a year ago. I would catch myself performing of like, what am I doing? Like, am I doing this because I need validation? And I literally just had
Mhm.
a retreat that ended today when we're recording this, that was about self-worth reset. I needed to self-worth reset 2 months ago of like my, my self-worth, and putting that validation of like my to-do list, and like I need to do this and I have to do this and all these projects and all this. And like being a projector, I was like, whoa, like I need to stop it. It's like, let
Mhm.
me take my own advice. I have
Yeah, yeah.
really great advice, but then do I take my own advice? And like, I'm very
Mhm.
honest with myself. No, I wasn't. And I was starting this burnout wheel again. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, we're not, doing that. And I feel like any energy type, if you're constantly like burnt out and you're constantly just like, I don't know what to do, or where do I go next? Like, you should probably pull your human design chart if you don't know what it is, and figure out what human design type is. And I just tell people, practice, like people that you don't need to know anything about human design, just practice with your three: energy type, strategy, and authority. And
Yeah.
I feel like that in itself is going to give you so much, like
Yeah.
just so
And
much.
it's not woo woo. Like it's not,
Yeah,
if you're
science.
looking at it and you're
Yeah.
like, no, I can't do it. I can't do woo woo. It's not woo woo. It's
Mm-hmm.
like science backed, like neuroscience and all
Yeah.
those things. And I'm like, it explains so much. Like you'll look at it and you'll be like, wait, what? How does this know? Like, how is this possible? Like, how did this know that I'm telling you, if you guys haven't dove into human design,
Yeah.
like it is the simplest. Just those three things, like you said,
Yeah.
those three things. You don't need to dive into anything else.
No.
Just knowing your human design and your lines and your authority. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all. That's it. That's it. And
Yes.
you could
That's
stop
all
there.
you need to know. You don't need to go into gene keys if you don't want to. You don't need to get on the
No.
gene. People are like overwhelmed with it. So
Yeah.
like when I had said to one of my clients, she said to me, Lauren, how do you make this so easy? And I was like, well, one, I can see it. It's very easy. I did it. I've actually embodied it before I even started speaking about it. Because here's me. How am I going to speak about something if I don't even
Mhm.
embody it? Realizing that that's actually how you embody things. So that was like,
Right.
that was 5 years ago. And then I'm like, oh, so speaking about it. And when people ask me what my message is, and I'm like, I just want everybody to learn their human design. If you don't, I just want you to learn your human design. Let me teach you it. Like
Yeah.
that is what you need. That is just the system that I use. And I'm not saying that you can't use other systems, but it's like if you
Mhm.
want to know yourself, pull your human design chart. It will tell you about yourself.
Oh,
But
yeah.
again, you have to be open to receiving.
Right,
When you
right.
first look at it, like I first looked at it, I was like, there's no fucking way. There's no way. I am not a projector. I am a generator. This is wrong. Like, but again, I wasn't open to that when I found human design 10 years ago.
Oh,
And then it
no.
came
I was
back
the opposite.
around. And it was like, hello. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll look at it.
Oh, no, I was the opposite. I was like, "Holy shit, like, how does this know me?" Like and my son, when we did all 3 of our charts together, and when my son found out he was a manifestor, he was so upset. He was like, "Why can't I be a projector like you 2? Like, why do I have to be the different one?" And
Yeah,
now, like, I tell him all the time, I'm like, Your words are important. You're a manifester. What you say is what's going to happen. So you need to be careful. Your words are very, very powerful. You cannot continue talking about yourself in a negative way or talking down to yourself, because what you say is what's going to happen. Like you more than daddy and I, your words matter to
Yeah.
yourself, to others. Your words have power. And so, like it's just like, really, people, really, if you haven't, you really need to. Like, you
Yeah.
really, really need to.
Yeah. We don't need to convince you. Just click the link below
Yeah,
and
you need
start.
to. You
Yes.
really need to.
So
Yes.
we're gonna switch gears a little bit because I want to
Yeah.
talk about your podcast.
Okay.
So kind of walk people just like a really quick process about how you kind of bring to your podcast clients. Do
Mhm.
you bring human design into the work with your podcast clients?
I don't, not yet.
Okay.
I well, actually, I think I kind of do, just not in the terms of human design. Like, the
Okay.
way I lead my clients more with questions and have them figure it out on their own, kind of guiding them through the process. I
Yeah.
do that. So,
Yeah.
my podcast is more along the lines of, I guess you could explain it as just teaching moments, um,
Okay.
going through my framework, which is changing in January. Um,
Okay.
I can go through that framework if you want, what it is now and what it's going to be, because
Yeah.
it's
Sure.
just changed in the year. So my podcast is called Your Voice Uncovered,
Okay.
the Became podcast. And so Became start right now, it stands for balance, communication, collaboration, authenticity, mindset, and empowerment, which is great. And it's worked well. And in January, it'll be a year that I've had it. And things have shifted. So in January, Became is going to turn into balance, clarity, consistency, authenticity, mindset, and ease. And right now, that's where I feel my helping clients. And what I do is I help people um, launch their podcasts when they have questions about it. When they're in the messy middle of their podcast, I help them figure out what they need, what's missing. They're not getting, the audience isn't listening. What do you need to tweak in your message? What part of your message are you missing? That maybe you're scared of being vulnerable, you're scared of sharing that one story or that one piece. That's really what's going to connect with your audience. Um, and that's basically what I do. So, really simple. Talk through, I love talking one on one with people about their podcasts, about their wants, their needs, where they want it to go, how they want it to be seen or heard if they're not doing video.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's basically what I do. And I guess in a way I do infuse human design into it, um just
Yeah.
by nature, because of the
Right.
one-on-one connection and because of the guiding that I like to do. Like, I don't really like telling people this is what you should do, because I don't know all the ins and outs of where people are coming from. So I
Right.
can guide you based on what you're telling me, and then it's up to you to take what I give you and do with it what you will. I'm not telling you what to do. You choose. Like, choose your own adventure, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's actually one of my clients said this week. Can you just tell me what I need to do? And I'm like, no. And I will not do that.
Yeah.
So no. And I'm like or on our one-on-one together. And she's like, I know she's frustrated. So I asked, and I'm like, okay, let me breathe into this, because then I'm like, let me ask her this question.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked her this question because I know that there was ego coming in, and the ego was not allowing her to let her higher self come in and kind of be there. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not like I just trigger people and like, well, whatever, they figure it out. Like, I
Yeah.
can feel it in my body that it's like something that she's holding back, like in her heart, like wherever it was. And so I was like, okay, let me step back and ask her this question, because I know and I see what she needs to do, but that's not
Mm-hmm.
my place and role.
Right.
And that has always been very clear to me about I also was on the receiving end. Can you just fucking tell me what I need to do? Like, who's
Mhm.
listening? Like, somebody tell me what I need to do. And then all of a sudden it was like, you're not listening. You're too busy doing all of this other stuff. And it's like, we're showing you, you're too busy doing other things,
Right.
or if it's like, if I'm in meditation or something like that, or I'm not meditating because I'm trying to avoid what I hear and know. And it's like, stop it,
Mhm.
stop talking. I'm not doing that right now. That type of thing. So it's like, that's also the same energy that it's like, so before, and I was doing that before I started to kind of infuse human design into like what I was doing as like a mentor. And then my mentor was like, "Are you pulling your like people's human design charts?" I'm like, "No, I just usually read their energy. Like I just read their energy."
Yeah.
And I'm really good at that. So it's like I know what I should be saying versus how I'm supposed to be speaking. But then I realized I'm also projecting how I also feel inside, which subconsciously I'm doing that subconscious. It's not
Yeah.
conscious until I was like, oh, this is the clients that I'm attracting. This is what I'm attracting. And then, through my entrepreneurial business, which I'm sure you the same as well. It's like it's a mirror. It's like smack in the.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second, what's going on? Of like, oh, and I think that that's where a lot of people are too with there's a lot of people that I know that want to have a podcast, and I'm always like, well, now I know where to send them, but
Yeah.
or send them to this episode and go listen to this episode and then go connect with her because she can help you. But I also noticed that it's more of like not people tell me all the time they want to be visible, like more we're in session, like I want to be
Mhm.
more visible, I want I'm not getting paid, I'm not like it's all these things, and I'm like reverse it back, well, what are you not doing, or what are you doing?
Or
Because
what
that's
does visibility mean to them?
right. Yeah. And it's like, so what does that look like?
Right.
What does all this look like to you? Because like I hear it all the time. This, they selling these get rich quick programs. I'm like,
Yeah. It's
that's
bullshit.
not working. It's not.
No.
Don't. That's not working. I can tell you that,
No.
but you can try. Here's the thing. Don't believe me. Just go try it.
Right.
I mean, I'm just trying to save you, but yeah, and I feel like that's really powerful for how I'm sure walking people through the framework are the pillars that that you have,
Yeah.
because and you said that you had it for a year and it evolved. Well, that's
It
kind
is.
of
Yeah.
like evolution. Every year we have a birthday, we evolve,
Yeah.
so everything else in your life should also evolve with it,
Right.
too, because
Well,
I
it's
feel
crazy because we're gonna go back and nerd out on human design again. Because for me, like not having a defined throat was something that for the longest time I thought was a negative. And I
yeah,
remember I was reading something about that, and it said that my strength was that I'm able to change the way I say things to correlate with the way people need to hear them. And that for me was awesome because I was like, oh, so it's not bad that I don't always say things the same way. I'm conforming the way I'm saying it so that it lands with the person that needs to hear it in that moment with whatever it is that I'm saying exactly how they need to hear it. So I was like, oh shit, that's amazing. Like I can morph, I can be a chameleon in the way I deliver things and it lands better depending on how I say it and who I'm talking to. Like I can read the room and know, okay, in this room, I need to speak this way. With this person, I need to speak this way. With this, like in my house, when I talk to my husband, it's one way. I don't talk to my son the same way I talk to my husband. I don't talk to my parents the same way I talk to my husband or to my son. Like everyone gets their own version, I guess their own version of me and the way I share things.
yeah,
And realizing that that was part of my human design was like, yes, that's awesome. I love
yeah.
that.
You just taught me something new, because I'm thinking to myself, everybody that I know that has an undefined throat, I'm like, oh my God, that's literally what they do. Like, that's when you just said that to me, I'm like, oh, light bulb, that makes so much sense. Because I have a defined throat. So
You say it and it is what it is. Yeah.
I gotta make sure I've gotta like, sometimes I'm like, should I say this? You know, do I have, like, it's like the energy of my throat. Sometimes I don't. It's like I used to get sore throats all the time. I would always have a sore throat or something would be going on with my throat. And here's me, oh, I didn't speak my truth there. And then that happened. And then this happened. And just like this rabbit hole of like, oh, I know I have a sore throat. Sure. People think, oh yeah, you're just getting sick. I'm like, no, mine's a little deeper than that. Like I know exactly the moment that I did not. I just kept going and going and going. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, I need to just say this, but I don't know how to say it because when I say it, it's not going to land with you and you're just going to be so mad, you know? But it's like now I have to remind myself too, that the listening piece to it, especially, you know, I've noticed this on some podcasts that I'm on. It's, I think some people that have their podcast, they like to just hear themselves talk, you know? To me, it's like I remember that this is my podcast and I need to be the one listening and asking, pulling questions from that guest. Which is why when people ask me, what are we talking about? I was like, I have no idea. And that's why I only ask for if you've been on the podcast and you've listened to this podcast or you're listening to this and you have been on the podcast, you know, I only ask for 3 topics. And that's what I'm pulling from. I need to know what we're talking about. Cause like we could talk about anything. I could get any question from anywhere, wherever it comes from. And then I pull it down and like I talk about it. A lot of things, people follow the podcast because of human design, because of, you know, every episode. I think that I've heard this more than not, that every episode is so much uniquely different. And I'm like, I don't plan that. I just have people sign up. We record the episodes and every single week it's like spot on to like anything that's going on of like whoever needs to hear it. And it's every single week. And like, I didn't structure that. I don't know who structured that. I didn't do it. Not me.
It's just the way it's supposed to be. It's giving exactly what it needs to give to the person it needs to give it in the moment it needs to give it.
Yeah.
And that's how that's another thing that I've learned in the past few years is that everything happens when it's supposed to happen. Like nothing is rushed, nothing is behind. Everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
As hard as it is to deal with that, as hard as it is to realize that you're not in control, like the control is in realizing that you are not in control.
Yes.
And just, for lack of a better word, going with the flow.
Yeah. And I think our humanness, that was like mic drop, like our humanness, and that's like a lesson that I've learned and I still have to learn. And it was very clear to me through this week, through my virtual retreat, that's like, why am I trying to control tech? That's never going to happen.
No,
and it's like actually be so desensitized to it, to actually being the one running the whole thing. It's like I already took one leap, because I like to take big, huge leaps to the unknown for whatever reason, uncomfortability, being vulnerable, just leading first, going first, to like, I'm already doing a virtual retreat by myself. Then on top of that, my mentor had said this to me last night. Then you also took it off of Facebook, you took it off of Zoom, and you put it onto another platform that's new. And then you want to, like, it's just like, and the way that she said it, and I'm like, it's control. It's like me trying to control the tech and everything going perfect and everybody's experience to be like what I want the experience to be, which I created it. And it's like, well, whatever. And it's like so much easier to like speak that on my podcast, speak it into the retreat. It's like that actually is what people needed to hear. Every single one of those people in that retreat were entrepreneurs, and every single one of them, or at least a couple of them, have done a retreat or have done an event that tech has fucking fucked up. And they're like, they just ruined it. And they're like, I didn't realize for myself that my mess ups could actually help somebody else. So it's like, I also need to speak that. I needed to show them, because they could feel it. I mean, God, Wednesday was deep. it was deep, you know? So again, and we're in Mercury retrograde, and somebody's like, oh, in the full moon. And I was like, sure. I do believe all of that together and all of the other things that are going on, but it's just like
Mhm.
I knew it was a personal lesson for me of like, what am I doing still, to kind of like not jump over or jump off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
once I
funny
yeah,
it's
yeah.
funny that you just mentioned perfection because I just finished, I think it finished yesterday or maybe it finished today, a summit, like an audio summit.
Mhm.
And the talk I gave was called Perfection Never Published a Podcast.
Yeah,
And I was like, the whole talk was basically about how you need to embrace the messy
yeah,
or you're never going to get it done.
yeah,
Like it's in the messy where you learn what to do, how to do it, how to tweak it. And if you keep looking for perfect, you're never going to get anything done.
right.
If you keep waiting for perfect, nothing's ever going to come out
Yeah,
because nothing we do is perfect. None
right,
of it. Our lives aren't perfect.
right.
Like Lord knows our lives are not perfect. There's things changing by the second all the time.
Yeah,
And if you're constantly waiting for the right moment, the right time, the right circumstance, the right fill in the blank, you
right.
don't do anything. Like
Right.
nothing happens.
Right. Yes. Yes. Today was about self sabotage loops. And I literally made a process for myself and I taught it today because that is what I needed because I was constantly looping in procrastination, procrastination, procrastination.
Mhm.
And, that's emotional. So it's
Yeah.
like, why is this? But then I realized from a different perspective, from my projector, whatever perspective, I'm like, but what if procrastination is there to keep me safe in situations that my body doesn't feel safe. Again, that's another self
Self-preservation.
sabotage. Yeah,
Yeah.
like self sabotage loop that I'm now putting myself into. Then same thing with perfectionism, and it's like I learned to just do things so messy and just go with it. And I'm not saying I'm not honoring what happened because I did. I had to. Like it had to be processed. Like shit, it had to be processed literally, So
Yeah.
it's like, and I had these people that they showed up and they gave their time and they gave money, and it's like I had all this on my plate, so I was just like, I'm just going to literally tell everybody what's happening because
Yeah.
I can't control this. It's not something I can control. And there is things, we can always make it better, we can always change it, and it's like that moment of me just being real life, it's real life happening right now, of like what was happening. I feel like that makes me just kind of like, okay, this is going to be perfect regardless I feel like it's perfect, and anybody that they're going to get from whatever they get, and then like that's it. And it's like people I think often think too is like it comes from, but what if it shows I don't care? And I was like, well, that's coming from a place of like that they know I care, obviously.
I'm here. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
like
here.
I'm here and I'm literally the one that created this, and it's not working, like, so it's like I just kind of had to kind of just do what my gut told me to do, and I'm like, I just need to do this. It's not going to be perfect and I'm going to learn. And I noticed through
Yeah.
all of that, you only learn, like you said earlier, like you only learn through that mess. I've learned so much, so much. And I have a new appreciation for tech and the people that do it and the things that I do. And like, oh my God, I was so desensitized to it because here's the thing, like, society, they push a button and like get on an app, and that all, they don't see the back end stuff of like, why is this
Mhm.
not working, or this is buffering, or this. And it's like, they're complaining, and it's just like, oh my God, if they only knew how much the awareness of like what goes into all of this,
Yeah.
to like, right. And that's like, you can use it with your life too, right? I
Yeah.
mean, gosh,
Yeah.
it's a lot. I even share about the podcast too, because like people are like, I want to have a podcast. And I'm like, I love that for you. However, you need to make sure that you know what it means to have a podcast, and that's why people, when I say I'm at 100 and I think 9 episodes right now, and I'm like, I never thought I was gonna get here. I never
Yeah.
thought I was gonna get here, because people stop. I don't even know the statistic, but people stop after what, 10, 20, 30, 40,
Oh
50.
no, it's usually after 7 to 10 episodes people stop.
Wow. Okay, so it's that low. Okay.
Yeah, because you got to remember, a lot of people are thinking, especially in the world we're in now, people are thinking viral. So they're
Uh,
thinking that in the first 3 episodes, I'm going to go viral. And podcast is like a blog. It's one of those long, like, it's a long game. Like,
right.
it's a long game. You have to be in it for, you know, 6, 9, 12 months even before
Right.
you really get any traction.
Yeah. I know
But
that
yeah,
that's very true. Yeah, that's very true for me because, like there's so many people have podcasts now. And if
right.
it's, like you're not now, it's SEO and it's keywords and it's this and it's that. And
Mhm.
it's just like, I'm just but the thing about it is my podcast, I was like, I don't care if anybody listens to it because I like
Yep.
doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have a love for it. You have to have a reason behind doing it more than I want listeners
Right.
or I want to monetize. You have to have a deeper reason for doing it. And I know a lot of people who started podcasts because they were going through a trauma or they were going through something, and this is how
Yeah.
they got through it. Like, I know somebody who started her podcast because she lost a baby. She had a miscarriage, and this is how she processed. And I've known people who were going through divorce, who were going through loss,
Yeah.
and they used it as therapy.
Yeah.
And you could even record a podcast that you have no intention of ever releasing, ever, and it's just for your own thing. And then
Yeah.
one day you wake up and you realize, hey, this can help someone,
Right.
and you release it.
Yeah.
But the reasons are many, but there has to be a reason other than the monetizing or the downloads. It has to be. You cannot start a podcast, and if this is, people are going to shout at me for saying this. I help people launch. I make money helping people launch, and I'm
Right.
telling you, if your only purpose is to monetize, to promote, or to check the downloads, don't bother. Don't
Yeah.
bother. It's not worth it. You have to have a deeper reason behind it. Whatever that reason is,
Yeah.
whatever that purpose is, but you have to know what that is before you hit record. You
Yeah.
cannot put a podcast out if your only purpose is materialistic. It's not going to work. You're going to hit you're going to hit a barricade, you're going to hit a wall, and you're not going to be able to push through that wall until you get that deeper meaning, that deeper push behind why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I love that. Mic drop, literally. I'm like kind of on the other side of that because here's me. The way that I track everything is like I don't track that. But I feel like I need to
Mhm.
start tracking it because obviously there's an app that you can or the software that you can track how many subscribers and all of that stuff. But I would just track it from the downloads. So there's some
Yeah.
people that their episodes were like higher than others. I can kind of see who shares the content or not and like
Mhm.
who's in it. And it's like I had to kind of look at it from that perspective
Mhm.
because it's like I'm doing what I can do on my end, but it's a collaborative thing, like
Right.
making sure that they also do their part because it's collaboration. It's like I do also know that there's a lot of people that get on podcasts too, like as guests listening
Mhm.
to when I ask them if they listen to the podcast. And I literally just had somebody do this like a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, "No, I don't listen to the podcast." I just was like, "Oh, so you don't even know what this podcast is about?" I'm like, "Are you sure you want to continue?" And I'm like, just joking. And I'm like, to my mind, and in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, like that's it's a different answer. Most people are like, no, sorry, I've been busy, but I will make sure whatever. And it's like
Mhm.
from that perspective of no. And I'm like, I could have said we're talking about aliens today, and you can talk about some
And
aliens.
you just have no idea. You have
You
no
have no
idea.
idea. So it's like I feel like for that, when I'm saying that is like I feel like when you're a guest or like you're on somebody else's podcast too, I always make sure I listen to at least one episode or know what I'm getting myself into when I get on that podcast. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to listen to it every week, but I feel like that is really too like, I feel, well, that's also very ego driven too, like, let me just get on as many podcasts as possible to, get myself out there, to get my message
Mm-hmm.
out there. But it's like, you also hit a wall. Like, you're going to hit a wall too, because it's like, how
Yeah.
many people are going to actually listen to that podcast or go to like the way that you speak and all of that stuff? And I feel like
Yeah.
this podcast, like, I've had it for, how long have I had it? I think I've had it since 2023, but I started co-host 2023. I might be lying. Was it 2020? No, it was 2023. But I had a co-host, and that went south very quickly, very clear. I was like, okay, you told me I needed to do a podcast, so I'm doing a podcast, and it's like, not with somebody else. You need to do it by yourself. So I was like, oh, here we go. I'm going to go do something uncomfortable. I have no idea what I'm doing. And then this was 2024, probably the early parts of 2024. I think I started to do it by myself. And then now it's been the end of 2025. So did I have my podcast almost 2 years now? Maybe 2 years of now, 100, 109 episodes from when I completely deleted season one. And that was hard too. That was like, that was a lot of content. That was people's episodes.
Yeah.
That was interview people. And I was like, I literally just had to be the vulnerable person I am and be like, look, I'm deleting your video, but I will love to have you on just with me. And they're like, I'm so happy it's just you. And I'm like, wait a second. Wait a minute. Am I like, did I not read the room here? I mean, I did, but I had that have that hard conversation of splitting ways,
Yeah.
of like, very amicably, but I'm going this way, you're going this way. And I'm just gonna have the podcast. And hopefully you're okay with that. Because I'm just gonna rename it the same thing I named it anyway. I mean, it was my podcast. I did everything for it. That co-host just showed up and like was there. And like, I think that's what I needed for my confidence of like, I actually can do this by myself, because I am
Yeah.
doing it by myself. I mean, my
Yeah.
husband, thank God, helps me with making clips and like editing and uploading and all that stuff. Cause that, of course, that comes along with it. And I'm like, how
Yeah.
am I going to do all of this now? And I feel like that's ultimately when people say that to me, I'm like, just be sure that that when you listen to this podcast, it's just not, oh, I'm going to upload it, click a button, oh, send it out. And it's like that, and that's gone and it's done. I mean,
Yeah. No.
sure, magic wand here, but
No.
I feel like, yeah, definitely, I definitely can take that message, I think was for me too. And anybody else that was listening, that's like, I want to start a podcast. And it's just like, you can reclaim your voice and help other people do that, and help them along the way. But just make sure they either work with you or they really dive into
Yeah,
opening
you
up.
really, yeah, really, because you're gonna get burnt out, and if you don't have something to fall to ground you, the reason behind it, it's not gonna work because the viral aspect of it does not happen for the normal person. Those viral podcasts that you hear are people who have teams,
Yes.
money, and people behind them for ads
Yeah.
and visibility. And us regular folks don't have that. We're doing it all on our own. We're doing the editing, the recording, the publishing, the scheduling, the promoting, all of it, all
Yeah.
of it. And
The
if
tech.
there's not a reason, oh, the tech, yep.
Yeah.
And
And the
if there's
content.
not, yep, if there's not, I'm a launch strategist. I sometimes forget to promote my episodes. My episodes come out every Monday.
Yeah.
They don't get promoted until I send an email on Wednesday. And that's because I pre schedule my emails. If it
Right.
wasn't for me pre scheduling my emails, nobody would know my episodes were live because I
Right.
forget to promote it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because,
I just
and that,
forget.
yeah, and that's and I'll make sure that the listeners have your podcast to go check that out in the description box. But yeah, that's real life. Like, it's real life, and especially there's a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast too. And I feel like a lot of people lately have been telling me I want to start a podcast, and it's like, now I know where to send
Yes.
them. Send them to you, and if you're listening to this and you're like, but I really want to start a podcast still. And I know my
Yeah.
human So it's like
Great.
I can do both. You can embody that leadership, and can you just share with the listeners before we wrap up here?
Yeah.
What would you tell them if they know the power of using their voice and following the
Mhm.
calling, but no matter how full or messy their life feels, they still just don't know where to start?
If you're in that place where you don't know where to start, I would say just start recording. Even if you don't have a plan, even if you don't know what you want to say, just pick up your phone, pick up your tablet, pick up your laptop, whatever, and just start recording random thoughts. You'd be surprised how cohesive your thoughts turn once you just start talking. Just start and embrace the messy middle. Embrace that messy beginning. Don't look at your podcast starting and compare it to someone who's been doing it for 2, 3 years.
Yeah.
Remember, you're a beginner. We all started somewhere. All of us who did a podcast started from a place of, I have something to say, I have something to share. Now let me share it. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to look like. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know I have something I need to say. Let me just say it. That's it.
Yeah, that's why my on this my podcast myself is it's season 2, because season 1 is when I was with my the co-host, and I was like, I'm not literally redoing my podcast. I'm just not doing it. So we're
Yeah.
gonna literally just start at season 2, episode 1. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna reintroduce me as just me. And that's like how it happened. And I just really just transformed the podcast again, because realizing that here's me, I had 1 to 2 episodes telling everybody to go listen to the podcast, and it was 20
Mhm.
episodes, then it was 30, and then it was 40, sometimes it's 60, sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's a couple hundred. And then I'm like, well, how do I know how many subscribers I have? Nobody's telling me this, you know.
Mhm.
And then somebody, my mentor, ran my statistics, and she was like, you know that you have thousands of people that listen to your podcast, not every episode, but thousands. And I was like, what?
Do I really? What?
Was like, no fucking way. And then I was like, oh my God, they just send me the downloads every month. So I was like, oh, she's talking about the monthly downloads. Shit. And then I'm like, like, I'm gonna go buy this, because I'm like, I need to see this for myself, because I think she was just telling me that to make myself feel good. And I was like, holy shit.
She's right. Damn it.
Yeah, so then I'm like, I need to take this more seriously, because here me, I'm like, I'm just trying to shine light on people, trying to like get their message out there. I'm doing all this stuff. And then I was like, I probably should I probably should do this a little bit differently now, because like people are listening,
Yeah.
and it's like, and it's like me sharing it too. Go listen to the podcast, go listen here, telling my clients, like, I'm not going to repeat everything that we talked about on the podcast, but I just had a guest that maybe go listen to her, and
Mhm.
maybe she has more, she can help you, or this or that. It's like about that networking, that
Yeah.
that I'm like, go do that, like go do this, like, and it's like I forgot that I actually have to tell people to do things, because they are not going
You
to do
do.
it. And
Yep.
again, I'm
Yep. Yep.
assuming. So it's now we're just going to wrap this up. Thanks for joining today's episode,
Of course.
and make sure you go and follow her, and make sure you check out her links below. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode on the Enlightened Misfits podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review. Like I said, sharing this with somebody brings more people on, more amazing guests. And make sure you share this with somebody that you feel that would gain knowledge from listening. Stay tuned for more captivating conversations in the future. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next week.